Hello everyone and welcome to the template inheritance code example lecture where we are going to be coding through the topics we just previously discussed for a template inheritance. Let's go to the editor and get started. Alright, so here I am using the learning underscore template project as we created in the previous coding lecture. For this section of the course, remember that we created this based on HTML file. Okay, let's show you how you can create some typical looking based HTML code and then use it and extend it to the other HTML files we have in this application, such as this index file, other HTML, and then even the relative URLs template. Okay, so in all HTML file, you always want to have this line of code doc type HTML. So that always needs to come first in an HTML file and you can get it easily just by typing HTML and hit enter, but that is in Atom text editor, not in PyCharm. That will always be the first line no matter what kind of template text you are using. Again, this should always be on line number one. So let's make sure that we have Bootstrap linked across our entire website. The way to do this easily is instead of having that link in every single .html file, we just put it in the base.html file. I'm going to copy and paste this. Either you can do it either from the notes or from get bootstrap. So there is the link to bootstrap. There is my reference to it. And again, this ref could also be a link to a local file underneath template. You can have CSS and then link it to the bootstrap locally. It's really up to you whether you want to link it online or link it locally. It's a little faster if you link it locally, especially when you begin to deploy your projects. Plus, you can always make sure that you are not dependent on someone else hosting this. Alright. Now inside this body, let's create a navigation bar. So we do this by calling nav and I am going to pass in the classes and I don't have these memorized. I'm just copy and pasting these from the notes and also from the bootstrap documentation. So I would not expect you to just knowingly know all the classes like I am typing them here. So feel free to just copy and paste from the notes or anything from the browser, from the internet. But the class for the navbar that I am using is navbar space, navbar default, and then navbar static top. And then I am going to put this that comes next inside of a container class. And then we will have an unordered list, and this is the stuff that's actually inside that navbar. So we'll give this unordered list class of nav space navbar dash nav, and then inside this ordered list I am going to have list item. They will be anchor tags and they are going to link to different parts of the page, but these are going to have a class uh, and this first one is going to be the actual brand page. So navbar dash brand and pretty much just always takes you back to the home page, so we would not mess around with the references right now. We'll set up the template inheritance first and then we'll come back and review how to do template URLs with these reference tags. But inside of this anchor tag I am just going to say brand. Save that and then let's create another list item and another anchor tag and this. Okay, so let's actually instead of putting this class in the list item, let's put it inside the anchor tag. So it is a little cleaner. There we go. And then this anchor tag is also going to have a class and this class is going to equal to navbar dash link class. Okay, and we will have this link to the admin page and let's copy and paste this. create one more, and we are going to do here this link to the other page. Remember, we have that other .html file. Okay, so that all goes inside the container div, and all of that is going inside the navbar. Perfect. So that all goes into that. And then since we are using bootstrap, what would be nice is making sure anything else I put in the body is already inside a container, so I don't need to call that. So what I am going to do is create a div tag that says container, and again all the sort of styling and classing that's easily going to be up to you when you are creating your own project. What you think look good, you test it out on mobile devices, on tablets, see what else looks good, etc. So definitely do not take this as absolutely 100%. Must do really all of this stuff at a certain point becomes your own personal choice and personal styling depending on what your website is going to be used for. So right now I have everything that I wanted to display across every page, single page. I want every single page on my website to have this navbar and have its body container in it container and have the link to Bootstrap, which means I need to set up my actual template text that will define this. Okay, so we'll call this block body underscore block, and then we'll write a comment here. Anything outside of this will be inherited. Okay, inherited. If you extend, typically you would not have this comment, but just typing in there so you can get an idea, and then finally you want to end the block. So we use block for this, and if you install some Django plugins for item text editor or like any other PyCharm text editor, the step is syntax highlighted and done automatically for you. Okay, also in Visual Studio Code also. So basically what we are saying here is everything outside of this is going to be inherited, what we call extend on it. And so let's actually practice that. So I will come to my other HTML file, and this is where it gets really cool. So right now I have a bunch of stuff in this HTML file, but really the only thing that's unique here is the fact that it says welcome to the other. So all I need to do is make sure that the doc type HTML code is there. I can delete everything else and then just extend my template. So I will say up here on the second line, extend this and then pass in the file path to that template. Okay, so which is under templates, and then I call basic app slash based template HTML. Okay, and so you note down here that I could have various template files as my base template even across different applications across the templates folder. Okay, so and I just need to make sure that I call the right one and I extend the right one. That way you are not just limited to the one based on HTML. So once we have done the extension there, what I do is call this tag. I call block body block, and this matches basically what I had in base HTML. That's this guy. Okay. But now instead of everything being outside, everything is going to be inside here. So that says welcome to the other. And then let's say this is an example of template inheritance. And then finally I'm going to close this off with an end block, and that's it. Now this other HTML file is ready to go. Okay. key things to note here is doc type, always line number one. Then I call the extends on whatever base HTML file I'm looking for. Then I call block the body block and then whatever content you want there, and then you can end the block. And that's basically it. You can actually see that. Now the template tags, when they were confusing at first when we first starting to learn Django, now they actually look way cleaner and way more readable than all the other HTML junk we had before. And this is really the power behind template inheritance. So let's do this on another page. So for example, our home page, which is index.html. So again, I can just get rid of all this other HTML code since that's already taken care of for me. I have doc type HTML I need to extend from my actual based on HTML file. So I say extends, and then in quotes where it is another template file which is in this it's basic app slash based HTML base.html you can say. So you can see you actually don't even need to call it based on HTML by convention. It usually is called that, but you could have named this whatever you wanted. Then again, I pass in that body block here in this page. Here I call block body underscore block, and the indentation is actually not necessary, but it definitely helps with the readability. So I encourage you to try your best to try to keep formatted and readable code, and then it says welcome to index, and we'll say something like this is index HTML page showing. Okay, save that, and then since we have that body block, let's end the block. So here we call end block, save that, and now let's actually run this and see what we get. So we'll say python manage.py run server and hit enter. Make sure we don't make any mistakes. So I am going to copy this and bring it over my browser here, and I can see here I have this nice looking navbar and it says welcome to index. This is index.html page showing. Perfect. Now let's check out the other pages. So that was basic app slash other, hit enter, and now it says welcome to other. This is an example of template inheritance. So notes here, my website looks like nice and clean. I had navbar showing across all the pages, but right now if I click on these links, nothing's actually happen. So let's use the URL template that we learned about in the previous lecture of this section to actually map these to different pages. So let's map brand to the home page, means that logo part, admin to the admin page, and other to the other page. So we'll come back here, and this is what we are going to do. We are going to come back to based on HTML, and here where it said href on the brand, admin, and other, will pass in those HTML template tags, those URL templates. So for the brand page, we will have the index one, and this should feel just like review because we essentially already did all of this in the relative URLs templates file. And you should use the path method, okay, whenever in url.py you need, but here you need to give only in percentage url, the name of the page index. Then I'm going to the other links for the admin page, and so remember I called url in the admin colon index, and let me make sure I have my quotes in other also. Sorry. So this is all wrapped in single quotes. Remember to be careful with spaces there, and then again we'll call URL for others page. Okay. In this case, this other page is under my basic app. So remember how to set that, how to set the app name variable, and then it's the name other. So let's save this. Then bring back our browsers and refresh. And if I bring in it now, I can click on the things to take me to brand. take me to the other. So we can see here when I am clicking on it, it is taking me to, and it really has the feel of a real website now, where there is a nav bar that's taking me to all the pages across the website, and it's calling them using that URL template tagging. And if I click on admin, it's going to take me to the admin page. Now note that the nav bar goes away here because I don't actually go into admin's HTML file and edit it, and honestly you should not really be doing that. We'll talk about customizing the Django admin interface, but as far as I like styling of the admin and having a nav bar there, that's really not necessarily, and that's not really the purpose of the Django administration view. So that's more for dealing with other your models. But we'll talk about Django admin customization in a future section. So that's really all we have to cover. Again, the main thing to note here is you will have base HTML file. Always have this doc type HTML as the first line in your HTML files. No matter if they are base HTML or they are nothing, things that are extending that base.html. But when you have everything that you want to be extended across all your pages outside of these two key tags, and that's the block body block and the end block. You can also have other blocks such as like head block or whatever you want to call them. And then the relationship between based on HTML and other pages is actually very clear. It's essentially just a reverse with one of their lines on other HTML. You get rid of all that HTML besides the doc type you extend from whatever base that HTML file you. So you just want to reference, then you call block in this case body block because we have body block here, and then whatever you want inside of that end block, and everything outside is going to be extended just like the base.html. Hopefully you understand it. This is all about this lecture. Thank you for watching this lecture. Okay, we'll meet you in